disappeared from her MOLINE neighborhood. The 11-year-old was last seen in 1996 wearing a swimsuit and getting into a car. While police have named several persons of interest over the years, her body has never been found. And tonight, News 8 Shelby Kluver spoke with one of Trudy's old neighbors who's still keeping Trudy's memory alive even a quarter century later. It's our top story tonight on News 8 at 10.
We have a 12-year-old that came out.
It's been 25 years since the search for Trudy began.
I don't know who took her, but just bring her back.
After all this time, the nightmare lives on.
I never would have dreamed we'd still be here, looking for an answer 25 years later.
Kelly Carlson still has Trudy's picture hung up in her window.
She was like one of my other kids.
Faded from time.
She called me mom number 2.
Kelly remembers Trudy playing in her yard and rollerblading out in the street.
Sometimes it seems like just yesterday, and other times it just seems like forever.
Memories of a girl forever frozen at age 11.
I was 37 when Trudy went missing. I am 62. Trudy would be turning this year. She would be turning 37.
Over the years, Kelly's done countless interviews, written letters to the editor, and helps run a Facebook page in Trudy's honor.
Oh, I'll keep this up till I'm dead, unless we find her before then. If I gotta go to the grave looking for her, that's what I'm gonna do.
Several of Trudy's own family members have since died, including her mom, Brenda. Kelly says she promised to keep Trudy's memory alive.
I promised her mom, and I also promised Trudy.
Now, a quarter of a century later, Kelly still has hope that Trudy's body will one day be found.
I keep hoping somebody that knows something is going to show up one of these times.
Hope that one day the answers will outnumber the questions.
She was a real person. She was just a little girl. She wasn't a statistic.
With me now is Trudy Appleby's uncle, Ray. And Ray, this vigil isn't something you guys should be attending each year. You guys have been for the last 2 decades. How are you feeling on the 23rd anniversary?
Positive. Hope is what I have, and I'm positive that something's on the horizon. We're putting pressure where pressure needs to be put, and hoping that the people that are responsible are going to do the right thing, get the monkey off their back, and give us the information that we need to find Trudy so that we can lay her to rest. My family has a gravesite next to her mother waiting so that we can place her and lay her to rest.
And missing someone like Trudy, it's very hard, especially because she went missing at 11 years old. What are some coping mechanisms you've developed since her disappearance, and even your family as well?
It's hard. It's for many years I just had depression. My sister went through a very hard time. It changes you. This isn't something, this isn't textbook that the police or anybody knows how to deal with, because it's unusual. Me, myself, I have learned to, I found an out by volunteering my time. I joined a search and rescue team through the Quad City Missing Persons Network, and that gives me relief in knowing that I could help another family that's missing a loved one. I can help search, and be able to try and help them have closure. Hopefully sooner, better than later, but it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes we're called upon to do a hard search too, and a recovery. But volunteering is the way I've found to deal with it.
And I see you have a picture of Trudy in your hand, and how do you remember her? Because she is absolutely beautiful here.
pictures are all I have left. My memories are kind of faded. There's been so much happen, you know, in the past 23 years. And, you know, there's an FBI updated age progression photo of Trudy. And I look at that picture and I don't see Trudy. This is the Trudy I remember. Little 11-year-old girl. Yeah. Used to like to go camping with us and the family, and that's the girl I remember. So to look at the age progression, it's hard to see that because it's hard to admit it, but I don't think she lived to the age progression. I think she died on August 21st of 1996.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And
Jim, police are just wrapping up their search out here at a home in Campbell's Island. Now, the canine human remains detection dogs did smell the presence of human remains, but police say they did not find any. Now, this lot is where David Whipple used to live back in 1996. He's the person who Trudy's father believes knows what happened to his daughter. Police were tipped off by someone associated with the person of interest to start searching this lot. And Trudy's grandfather says he hopes to find closure soon.
I just hope to God I can go to heaven so I can see her, talk to her, and get this information. Because I think she's up there. She's watching us. I just pray that we can get some closure. Yes.
Police say they did find items that they will be processing for evidence. Reporting live in East Moline, Christina Hebner, WQAD News 8.
Now, more than 2 decades later, Moline Police Detective Michael Griffin says he's confident they're getting closer to finding the answers.
This case is being worked on every day right now because we are getting lots of good, relevant information in. So, you know, by definition, this isn't even a cold case anymore. This case is hot.
This past December, police uncovered a boat they believe could be involved with Trudy's disappearance.
The FBI processed it earlier this year for us, and the buccal swabs are at the FBI lab in Quantico.
And those are hundreds of swabs now being tested for DNA samples to compare later.
So we have a known DNA sample for Trudy that we will use to match to any evidence that we will find.
But it's more than the boat. It's a push for billboards around East Moline last summer, and Moline police naming William Ed Smith, now deceased, the last person to see Trudy alive.
Mr. Smith passing away 3 years ago has brought a lot of stuff up, brought new light onto it.
A lot of light Uncle Ray is looking to shine on some answers on this anniversary 23 years later.
We know who you are, boat or no boat, evidence, DNA or not. We're still coming for you.
In Moline, Marissa Sulek, WQAD News 8.
Today, in the case of Trudy Appleby, the 11-year-old Moline girl who went missing in 1996, police are revealing the name of a man they believe is the prime suspect in this 21-year-old mystery. News 8's Chris Miner is here with the exclusive details. Chris?
Angie, this is our very first look at the man identified as Ed Smith of East Moline, who actually died 3 years ago. A man police now say was the last person to see the little girl alive. Police have had this information for years, but are releasing it now to News 8, 4 days before the 21st anniversary of Trudy's disappearance. Trudy was last seen getting into a car at her house the morning she went missing. Police now say they believe she was going swimming off Campbell's Island in East Moline, that she went out on a boat with a family friend, William Ed Smith, and was never seen again. Police say the car Trudy was in was taken in for scrap 4 days later. Police say they don't believe she was ever abducted by a stranger, but went willingly with people she knew, and don't believe she's still alive.
and we have witnesses that state that they saw Trudy Appleby on Campbell's Island mid to late morning on August 21st, 1996, in the passenger car driven by William Smith. He goes by Ed Smith. Mr. Smith is now deceased. The last person to see Trudy alive was William Smith, Ed Smith. Right now, it's not the crime anymore. It's the cover-up. It's time to bring Trudy home. It's time to be done with this. It's 21 years.
Ed Smith was a friend of Trudy Appleby's father, who tells me he told police about his suspicions very early on in the investigation. Police say they never had enough to arrest anyone in this case, but say they know there are still people alive who know exactly what happened to Trudy, but just aren't talking. And we're going to have more on that part of the story tonight at 5.
There's a new development to the Trudy Appleby case. It comes more than 22 years after her disappearance.
And now investigators are hoping this will bring them one step closer to finding out what happened to the little girl back in 1996. It's continuing coverage of a case Local 4 News has been tracking from the start. On December 19th, Moline police and the FBI seized a boat believed to be connected to Trudy's investigation. They say they located it about 2 hours away from the Quad Cities, and it now has new owners. Investigators say the new owners are not connected to this case, and now an extensive examination of that boat is underway. Local 4's Kelly Bowles joins us live from Campbell's Island with what people close to this case are hoping. Kelly?
Jim and Tiffany, back on that day in August 22 years ago, Trudy Appleby was believed to be headed here to Campbell's Island in East Moline. And now police say they have tracked down the boat they believe was used to transport Trudy at the time. And now friends, family, and investigators alike are hoping this will be the big break in this case. What happened to Trudy Appleby? It's a question that's plagued the Quad Cities for more than 2 decades.
22 years, how are you supposed to feel?
But in the last few years and even months, investigators have been amping up the pressure to crack her case. And in the latest development, it's not a billboard, but a boat.
There's a report logged about it. The boat disappeared for a period of time. We were able to track that boat down and finally recover it.
Detective Mike Griffin is hoping this will finally link them to the family that's been of interest almost from the beginning.
They can't handle the pressure that the Quad Cities is putting on them and is going to continue to put on them.
They know there's somebody in that family who was it, if not all of them, that know the truth.
For more than 22 years, Dennis Appleby has only really wanted one thing.
We gotta bring Trudy home.
And for the first time in a long time, he thinks this boat might be what brings his daughter back to him.
It's another piece of the puzzle, but it might be the piece of the puzzle that actually makes this whole thing take a fit.
Technology surrounding DNA evidence is better than ever before.
If you had cut your finger on the boat 22 and a half years ago, the makeup of the boat will hold that.
Dennis Harker with the Quad Cities Missing Persons Network says while there's no guarantee, it's not impossible.
There may be other areas of evidence, if they're looking strictly at DNA, that they may still be able to identify.
Which is why Detective Griffin says they're staying optimistic.
And we continue to work towards solving this case.
While it will take time to examine the boat bit by bit, those closest to Trudy are hoping they'll uncover the truth in its cracks.
We're coming for you.
Now, once again, the boat is being investigated by the FBI in Springfield, Illinois. Detective Mike Griffin says while they are not sure how long that exam will take, if DNA evidence is uncovered, it could lead them to additional suspects or persons of interest in Trudy Appleby's case. Live at Campbell's Island in East Moline, Kelly Bowles, Local 4 News.